Tyagveer. And one more. So far you have finished Ranveer, Tyagveer, Danaveer, Tyagveer. Now we are inventing our own Veer. Ranveer already is over. No Ranveer. So Danaveer is not Danaveer. Not Bhakti. Closer to that. Dayaveer. Dayaveer is called. There are 5 types of Veer. Tyagveer or Dharmaveer, Dayaveer, Vidyaveer, Danaveer and Ranaveer. 5 types. So Veer is one who has courage. Balwan is one who has strength. So courage to fight. These 5 types of Veer are to fight against certain things. Tyagveer or Dharmaveer is to fight against the tendency to compromise and fight against our own comfort zone. Then, second type of Veer is Dayaveer. Dayaveer is a person who fights against insecurity, sorrow, selfishness. Then Vidyaveer is a person who fights against ignorance, false notions, doubts. These are demons which haunt our knowledge. Doubts, skepticism. Vidyaveer is one who fights all this. Then comes Danaveer. Danaveer is one who fights attachment and possessiveness. Because I don't want to let go. And when I let give down, I become more important. And then the fifth one is Ranaveer. Fights all types of fears. Because in the battle, from anywhere the bullet can come, one can die. The fear of death, one who overcomes that. And this means all other types of fears. So Mahaveer, Vikram, meaning one who does great, valorous and mighty types of actions. Karma. You see, this bhasha is Avadhi bhasha. So in Avadhi bhasha, Va becomes Ba. So Vajra Angi becomes Vajrangi. Vikram becomes Vikram. May sound like Bengali. Vivekananda becomes Vivekananda. Mighty actions. Best part is Vedant becomes Vedant. So anyway, Vikram. So Mahavir Vikram means one who does mighty actions, glorious actions. And if you look at Hanumanji's life, unimaginable great actions he has done. Leaping towards the sun, crossing the ocean, bringing the mountain, mighty projects. So Vikram is the quality of a leader who can think big. Not only person can think big, but is able to achieve. First of all, one has to be able to think big. And the beauty here is that Hanumanji thinks big not for himself. There are 2 ways to think big. One is that I will become great when I do great activities. So I want big things, big plans, big projects. Because the glory is that I achieve. Here it is, the second way is that one thinks big, dedicated to a cause. So all the great things that Hanumanji did, dedicated to Bhagavan Ram. So when I think big, and the sankalpa is that with this project, how much will my country benefit? What will be its impact on the people who are working towards it? How will my team come together? Where I is not so important, but the cause is much more important. That is called really thinking big. It's not only in terms of numbers, otherwise it's ego clash. How much big that person thought, I think bigger than that, and I will throw the competitor down. That's all. But really thinking big is in terms of this. And thinking big also, the greater is our aspiration, is the basis of selflessness. Greater potential manifests from us. So goal is always required to manifest the potential. When the goal is not there, potential gets untapped or dissipated. So higher the goal, Gurudev always said, higher the goal, greater is the inspiration. Smaller goal we may achieve, and it seems also very comfortable, but doesn't manifest the potential. In management they always say you have to challenge yourself adequately. There is an adequate challenge, which is neither too easy nor absolutely unachievable. That is management saying. Spiritual saying is keep the goal highest, that it constantly keeps inspiring. So Vikram means one who has massive projects, who has done great work, whose goals are very huge. So one is that we are able to manifest our potential. Second is to achieve anything which is so massive, we must have a team with us. So the greater is our goal, the more we will learn to work with a team. And in that our selfishness becomes lesser, because we have to accommodate, adjust, groom, get a sense of oneness in the team. And imagine the people whom Bhagavan Ram had. We are all monkeys and bears. He never said that, oh God, I have to cross the ocean and go, and I have a team of monkeys with me. They are so unskilled. Even if we reach there, they are not going to be able to fight. We had faith in them. We trained them. So Mahavir Vikram brings out the capacity to have a high aspiration and a goal, capacity to manifest our potential, live in inspiration, capacity to work together with team, and there is a great joy when we work together with the team. Our individual petty little sorrows, they all disappear, because the mind always is focused on the cause, on the people. So Mahavir Vikram. And there are those people who will tell you that set a high goal, so you will reach somewhere close to it. Vedanta says no, that thought itself is a thought of disintegration. The goal should be high and the faith must be that I will achieve it. As it is. What is the popular saying? Reach for the skies, then you will reach the treetop.
Aim for the sky and reach the
Aim for the sky and you will reach the treetop. That is not proper. Treetop. To achieve the treetop, you should aim only for the treetop. Why should you aim for the sky? If I aim for the sky, I must achieve that. That is what Vedanta tells us. That is our capacity of the mind. That is called integrated mind. Otherwise, before itself one has set a doubt in the mind. And it's okay, even if I achieve treetop, it is good. Here is one video, some of you may have seen this earlier. This is one of the most popular videos of Gurudev on the YouTube also.
Karma Avayam, your karma, your sweating and toiling and your actions, your selfish actions, prompted by your ego and egocentric selfish desires, in which the millions are sweating and toiling from morning till evening. That karma, it is only prompted by instincts and impulses. It is like animals suffering or running about. It is pure labor. It is not the man of achievement. Mere laborers. Durena, by far lesser is this unnecessary sweating and toiling in the world outside, complaining of the tension, stress and strain of life. That is not real work. Work is inspired work, where the worker never understands tiredness, exhaustion. The joy of that work itself replenishes the true worker. Durena Kevalam Karma, Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. Hey Arjuna, please understand, as compared with the Buddhi Yoga, where you have got an ideal and you are pursuing to reach the ideal. It's an inspired enthusiasm with which you are living. That the joy of true work is any day nobler than all the amount of buckets of sweat and toil that you bring out of you, the exhaustion and fatigue you bring about physical. That is only labor. That is not work. Buddha Sharanam Anvecha. My dear boy, work in the world outside. Who said no? But Buddha Sharanam Anvecha. Maintain your ideal and work on in the world outside. And when you are maintaining an ideal, let not the ideal be a small ideal. Say that $1 million I want. If the moment I earn $1 million, I am retired. Because you may get it. Thereafter in life you are dead. You have nothing to do. Never. Keep the goal highest. So high that you will never reach. Sandy, why should I keep an ideal which I cannot reach? Reaching the ideal is not the goal. Striving to reach it, that is the moment when you grow. Once you reach your goal, your ideal, everything is ended. Then afterwards you have to inquire how to die decently. Because you are finished. Everything has been done. Never should you reach the goal. Keep the goal high. Don't say that it's an impractical method. No. Because reaching the goal is not the goal. Striving to reach there is the goal. Trying to reach out to the goal. You grow day by day, week by week. Buddha Sharanam Anvecha. Kripanaha Phalahetaha. Those who are seeking only the phala result and wanting only that you sweat and toil only to get something, they are Kripana. Kripana meaning myself. Myself means myself is a guy who has got the money in his pocket, but he doesn't want to, even though very hungry, he doesn't want to eat. He goes in front of the restaurant and smells the various food, because that is free. Why don't you go and eat if you are hungry? Look, it is a new note, $20. If I eat, I have to break it. No, keep it. Why? To spend the money is painful. Therefore you keep it and drink cold water from the local tap. Why? Anyway I am going in the evening home. Home there will be food, so I will eat there till then you suffer. This is called a miser. A miser is one who has the ability and capacity, and yet he will not use it because he doesn't want to give up that little, that money or that what you have got. There is a wonderful chance of living your life in inspired enthusiasm at all times and a peak. And yet you and I will not do that. Why? Because of our attachment to the ego and selfish desire. And make a mess of our own life. You are Kripana. See? When you are inspired and working, you will know the exhaustion of work. Doctors will have to take ECG to understand whether I am overstrained or not. You ask me, I am never overstrained. Why? I am inspired in this work that I am doing. Anybody who is inspired, they don't care about the worries and anxieties. In our own homes, when there is a marriage, the ladies work day and night and day with over enthusiasm. And when the marriage is over and the girl has walked away, you find everybody collapsing in wherever they are standing. For 3 days they wouldn't get up from there. Neighbors will have to come and feed them. How is it that at 8 a.m. you collapse? But till 8 a.m. you are all enthusiastic. That is because the shadi, the marriage, and that girl is now gone. Inspired work. You work, but you will not know the exhaustion or the fatigue. Tirelessly you work when you are inspired. Good. Buddhist truth.
So the point here is not that one should not reach the goal. The point here is keep the goal so high that it constantly inspires. So, he said about ECG, because his heart works only 16% at the time when he was giving the talk. But the inspiration with which he lived his life. Doctor had told him to speak only for 20 minutes in a day. He used to give full 1 hour lecture. So the idea is that is the power of inspiration. And that comes when the goal is high. So higher the goal, greater is the inspiration. So one is the capacity to think high. Second is Vajrangi, he said. Mahavir Vikram Vajrangi. Vajra is the weapon of Indra. And the weapon of Indra is such that when Indra throws it at anybody, the weapon will never miss the target. It will hit the target and come back to Indra. So Vajrangi means, one is that Indra has given him the boon that his body will become so strong that even thunderbolt will not affect him. So that is one aspect of strength of Hanumanji. Other meaning of Vajrangi also is that the person has the capacity to achieve whatever one has set for oneself. Just like the Vajra will not miss the target. In the same way, the person who has set a high goal, Vikram, not only sets a high goal, but will also have the capacity to achieve that. So puts in all the efforts required to achieve that goal. So in secret of success, these two are necessary. One is the capacity to think big, and other is whatever it requires, that consistent effort and the intensity of the effort must be there to achieve what we want to achieve. One should never have that doubt within oneself or in the goal. And one should never compromise. That will I be able to achieve? What if I can't achieve? Those kind of doubts should not linger in the mind. The person should be able to go ahead and achieve, putting all the best efforts. So Mahavir Vikram Vajrangi. Kumati Nivar Sumati Ke Sandhi. One who helps a person to drop the negativity or wrong ways of thinking. Nivar. Sumati ke Sangi. So it is said that Hanumanji, when he crossed the ocean and he reached the shores of Lanka, the palace of Ravana is there. Before he could enter, not palace of Ravana, before he could enter Lanka itself, Lanka is guarded by a demoness called Lankini. So he reaches there and he finds this demoness who is there. And she is guarding the gates. And he reaches quite late in the night or early in the morning sometime, he reaches there. So the Lankini stops him, saying that, who are you? Why do you want to go there? And Hanumanji gives that Lankini one blow on her face. And that Lankini comes to her senses. Because she was trying to block him. And Hanumanji gave her one shot. And when Hanumanji gives her one blow, what does the Lankini reply? He says, thank you for the satsang. Because Hanumanji tells her that I am going to retrieve Mother Sita. Lankini says, but you are coming like a thief. You are trying to enter like a thief. Because he tried to become small and enter, and Lankini stopped him. He said, why are you trying to enter like a thief? He said, I don't want to disturb anybody, so I am just doing it. But then she stops him. So Hanumanji tells her that, look, you are guarding a thief. He has stolen away Mother Sita, he has kidnapped her, and I am going to rescue her. I am doing the job of my master, and you are guarding a thief. And you should let me go. But she says no. And that's where Hanumanji gives her one blow on her face. And then she replies, thank you for the satsang. Because she came to her senses. And then she was very happy because she was actually a divine person who did something wrong and she was cursed to become Lankini. And then she asked Brahmaji that when will I get liberated from this? Brahmaji said, when Bhagavan Ram will be born, there will be a monkey who will come and that monkey will give you one slap. Know that your liberation is very near if that once that incident happens. So she remembers that. Now that's the story. Symbolism of the story is very beautiful. That satsang is like a blow. If I come to satsang and I am not getting the blow, and if I don't feel the need to change my way of living, then that satsang is not given its result. So in the satsang, when the words of the scriptures we hear, or the great saints, when we hear their words, they are like the blow that Hanumanji dealt on Lankini. Because are we not guarding the thief? In our own heart, the thief is the ego. The ego has snatched away all the peace, happiness, love, compassion, everything. So it is satsang, the words of the scriptures and the great masters, that deals a blow to us, and if one really feels that this way of life which I am leading with attachments and aversions, raga and dvesha, I want to change. That is called Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi. Kumati does not mean only bad people. Mati literally means Kuti. Kumati means the bad qualities, the negative aspects like your attachment, which makes us live miserable. So Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi, and gives us. So not only we are ready to let go of the negative, that which limits us, that which inhibits us, but Sumati Ke Sangi, we are having that desire to live the righteous way of life, live dharmic way of life, evolve from our selfishness. So Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi. This is actually the work of an avatar. Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, when Bhagavan says Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. There he says Paritraya Sadhuna Vinashaya Cha Dushkrata. It is same thing. Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi. So he does not destroy people. That is, if required, that will be done. But here transformation happens when the wickedness in us goes, the evil tendencies in us they go away. Now comes the Sagun Sakar Roop Dhyan of Hanuman, which is the fourth and the fifth chaupai. Kanchan Karana Viraj Subesa Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa. हाथ ध्वज और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूल जने हो साथ. These are two chaupais where the form of Hanumanji is described. So Sagun Sakar Roop. Sagun means with qualities and Sakar means with a form. So in our culture we always believe that the form is symbolic of the values and the virtues. So the idol represents the ideal. And Sagun Sakar Roop Dhyan is a very powerful means to make the mind single pointed. If you see modern advertising also today, what do they use? They use a very powerful picture and one tagline. So when that picture goes into the mind, then it creates a desire. In the same way, the form of the Lord, the devotee meditates on the form of the Lord. And that form of the Lord helps the mind to become single-pointed. See, many times when we start doing japa, let us say even Hanumanji japa somebody is doing, Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha. No, the moment we start doing japa, if we have done our Sagun Sakar Dhyan, from many diverse thoughts, the mind comes to get arrested only in the form of the Lord. So many diverse thoughts to many thoughts of the Lord. So the form of the Lord, the face of the Lord, the mukut of the Lord, the way in which he is sitting, what is he holding. So the mind is arrested into only the form. Then one comes to the name. Only one thought. From many diverse thoughts to a few thoughts of the Lord to one thought. Suddenly if I start doing Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha, the mind will not abide. So one aspect is the mind becomes single-pointed. Second aspect is the mind invokes devotion. Because the moment there is a form, then only devotion arises. Whoever you love, do you love anything which is formless? Is it possible to love people without thinking of their form? The moment I love somebody, what happens? The moment I think of them, form only comes. If I love my son, the picture of my son will come in the mind. Same way, for the devotee to think of Ishvara and to express the love towards Ishvara, the form is an important means. So form invokes devotion, form makes the mind single-pointed, form helps to internalize the ideals that are represented by the form, by the deity. Form also is a symbol for the devotee to surrender, because when devotion is there, then surrender also happens. So all this is the beauty of the Sagun Sakar Roop. And the person who does this meditation every day, that person is making oneself ready to go into the formless aspect also. So a devotee experiences both Sagun Sakar Roop of Bhagavan also, and ultimately experiences that oneness with the Nirgun Nirakar Roop also. There is a lot of beauty of form worship. You can, as we go along, you can explore more and more. So here the Sagun Sakar Roop of the Lord is being described. What it is said here? Kanchana Varana, that he has a golden complexion. It also means that color of the skin which is tan. So people have to go specially to take sun bath and get their skin tan. Hanumanji by himself, golden blue, tan color, Kanchan Varana, meaning he has a splendorous quality. Viraja Subesa, and he sits with nice clothes in an auspicious form. Kanchana Varana Viraja Subesa. Now, If we think about it in a logical way, it appears to us that how can a monkey's form be attractive or auspicious? Today's are to say. You don't see any monkey and say that what an auspicious monkey. And why is it that Hanumanji's form is being called as auspicious? What is that which actually makes a person beautiful? Is it a physical beauty?
Is it beauty like fire?
Beauty, that is a very poetic expression. Beauty lies in both, in the object also and in the eye of the beholder also. Because if it is not there in the object, the eye of the beholder has to only conceive it in one's own mind. So beauty actually is there. The physical beauty is one aspect. In time that physical beauty wears out. Angam, Dalitam, Palitam, Mundam. That's what happens. So physical beauty is very, very temporary. The real beauty is a heart filled with love, is an uncompromising intellect, is the capacity to serve. Is it not that, physically speaking, a grandmother is very old, but yet the grandchildren will love the grandmother so much? Because there is so much of love in the heart. The physical beauty is one aspect. Our mother, she may not look like Miss Universe, but one loves the mother. For the child, the mother is most beautiful, attractive. So beauty actually is in the character, in the qualities. And Hanumanji had both actually. His form also is very splendorous because he lived in that self-control. It will come ahead as we go. The next chapter says that. So he lived in self-control. A person who lives in self-control physically also has more, is more handsome also. Hanumanji is very, very handsome. You just look at even the form of Hanumanji, this Siddhabari Hanumanji which is printed on this book cover also. The beauty of that form, actually when you go to that Siddhabari and you stand in front of that, one really feels the presence. This was made by a sculptor called Kashinath, and Gurudeva had told him to make the idol there in Hanuman in Chitpara. So he meditated and used to meditate for hours together on the form. Imagine to keep that form in the mind and then to manifest it in the form of a sculpture outside. So he used to do, and there is no, this same type of Hanumanji in Noida they try to replicate. The same form, which is mentioned Noida only. Same form like this in Virasana is sitting there. But it is not similar. Nowhere close to this. So the very form of Hanumanji is auspicious because of these qualities that he has. Of the love in the heart, of surrender, of tirelessness, of tireless service. So Kanchana Dharana Viraj Subesa. Kanana Kundal, in his ears are the earrings. And his hair are all curly. So Kanana Kundal. So one is that the ornaments which one wears. Today they know the science of acupressure and they know the points which are there here. So the scientific reason of wearing those kundal is to trigger some different points in the body. Even the toe, what is gone? Yeah, the ring that ladies wear. So all that, there is a lot of scientific reasoning behind it. So here, earlier days even in our culture, both men and women used to wear the kundal. Then only women started wearing. Again men started wearing after whom, There was this tennis star called Andre Agassi. And he put only in 1 year. That became a fashion, putting it only in 1 year. That is about fashion and the trends there. But wearing the earrings, one is it has those physical benefits. Second is what is the real ornament of the ear? The ornament of the ear is hearing the glory of the Lord. That is the ornament of the ear. Shravanam. Listening to the glories of the Lord makes the ears also purified. And that's the purpose of the ears. In Bhakti literature it is said that Bhagavan comes into the heart through the ears. That's the symbolism of Sri Krishna entering into the house of the gopis through the windows. He could have broken open the door also and gone. But he comes through the window. So the ears are the windows. And when we listen to the glory of the Lord, as though the Lord enters into our heart, devotion is invoked in our heart, and we want to know who is that Lord. We want to know about Him, His qualities, His leelas, and many things. It is not even said through the eyes. He enters through the ears. Once that desire is there, then I want to see the form. Valmiki had never seen Bhagavan Ram. First he heard from Narad Rishi. And he heard Mara, Mara, Mara. He said he was given the mantra Ram. And he could not say Ram, and it became Mara, 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 and then it became Ram. So when he transformed into Valmiki, again Naradji came, and in Valmiki Ramayana you will find in the beginning that he asks Narad Rishi that is there a person in this world who is very dharmic, who is very righteous, who is very kind, who is very strong, and a big list of qualities he gives. And Naradji says to find this in one person is very, very tough. But you are fortunate that you are born in such a time that there is that person today. And that is Lord Ram. And he describes the whole glory of Ram in 100 verses. So the first 100 verses of Valmiki Ramayana, you will find the entire Ramayana is already there. Is Naradji telling Valmiki about Ram and his whole story. And then Valmiki Rishi is inspired to compose the whole Ramayana. So he explains there. So first Bhagavan's glory he hears, Valmiki hears the glory, and later on he has the darshan of the Lord. So always the hearing happens first. So that is the real hearing. One place where we were telling this story to the youngsters about Valmiki and his transformation and all that. At the end of that whole story, one of the youngsters came to me and said, Swamiji, I tell you one more thing like this, Mara, 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 how it became Ram. Like that, if you keep saying Momo, 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 it will become Om. Momo is a Chinese dish. So you keep saying Momo, 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 it became Om. Youngsters think that way. He came back and told me that. Anyway, coming back to this, so hearing. So what is the ornament of the ears is to hear Katha Shravan, the glory of the Lord. There was a great saying called Ananda Mahima. She used to say, Hari Katha Hi Katha, Baki Sab Vyarth Yatha. That the glory is only to hear the glory of the Lord. Everything else is mere gossip. And how much the hearer is interested to hear the gossip. If somebody says, some gossip, I have heard. I tell you tomorrow. No, tell me now. If somebody says, I heard a nice story of Bhagavan, I tell you tomorrow. The hearer is more interested in knowing about the gossip. That's the ornament. Or the hearer is more interested in hearing one's own praise. One's own praise sounds so sweet. Again and again one wants to hear. Hanumanji, Kanana Kundal is that he keeps hearing the glory of the Lord. And how do we know that? It is said that when Sitaji, last time I told you the story of Sitaji giving the pearl necklace, right? And Hanumanji broke it earlier. Because he didn't find Ram verse in that. So Sitaji asked Hanumanji that what do you want? This pearl necklace. And pearl necklace given by Sitaji means all the siddhis. Because Sitaji represents the Shakti. So he threw away all of them. So Sitaji said, what do you want? And Hanumanji said, give me only one blessing. That wherever the glory of Bhagavan is being sung, I should be there. I should live my life. So Hanumanji is a Chiranjeevi, who will live till the end of the Kalpa. But I should live my life constantly remembering and listening to the glory of the Lord. And Sitaji blessed him with that. And that's why he said that wherever there is Ram Katha happening, Hanumanji is there. Yatra yatra Raghunatha Kirtanam tatra tatra Kritamastakandrinim. Wherever the Kirtan of Raghunath is happening, Hanumanji sits there, Kritamastakandrinim, meaning with gratitude he sits there. So that is a kundal, Kanana kundal, Kunchita Kesa. And his hair are curly. There are some people who are born with curly hair. Hanumanji is like that. And there are some people who want to make their hair curly. So they put all kinds of round things in their hair. What is it called? Perming. Sit. That is how I sit. Why? Because hair should become curly. The hair is a symbol of beauty. So Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesha. Hair is also the symbol of desires. And that's why when one becomes a brahmachari, then the hair is shaved off, only a small choti is left. Meaning, drop away all the other desires for sense enjoyments. So the hair, I was saying, is a symbol of the beauty. So the person who the hair is shaved off is to make the person focus. That your focus should not be sense enjoyment. The focus should be study. So you are entering that state of a brahmachari. So hair is a symbol of beauty, of desires. Here Hanumanji said, Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa. Hair in Sanskrit the word is Kesha. So, Kesha also becomes Resha. Resha means rays. So, monkey's body is everywhere there is hair. Symbolic meaning is Resha means rays. So, Hanumanji's aura is very, very powerful. Those who believe in aura and it's not just a belief, it is a science. The aura is there. For all of us there is an aura. Hanumanji's aura is very, very powerful. Because what emanates from him, the purity of his character, the strength of his character, the knowledge that he has. So the rays of knowledge as though emanate from him. One of the names of Bhagavan Krishna also is Keshava. So Keshava is literally the rays of knowledge, rays of brilliance emanating from the body. So Hanumanji's presence is like that, very powerful. In our yogic science, it is also said that the hair are the means to absorb cosmic energy. That's why you will find some of the saints having long beard, long hair. A lot of cosmic energy gets absorbed into the body through the hair. So Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa is the physical form is being described, and each of them has a symbolic meaning also. हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे. Vajra is the thunderbolt and Dhwaja is the flag. So he said Hanumanji has a thunderbolt in his hand and a flag. But have you seen any such picture? Most of the time Hanumanji only has a Gada. He is not like Indra who has a Vajra or a politician who has a flag. He has only Gada in his hand. Here it is said Hathu Vajra or Bhaja Viraji. So it is said that Hanumanji was born with the sign of Vajra and Gada in his palms. There is a whole science in our culture called as Samudrika Lakshana. These are special marks which are found in the body, in the whole body, especially like on the face, on the hands, on the feet. So looking at those signs, different things are predicted about that child's life. Samudrika Lakshana. Vajra. So the signs of Gada and Vajra. So we will find in Buddha's life also, looking at the Samudrika Lakshana, there was a great saint called Asit Muni. So he predicted that this person will either be a great king or will be a great renunciate. Silently he knew in his heart that this man is going to be a renunciate. But he said what was written there according to the prediction. So he made his prediction according to the science. So there are Samudrika Lakshana which are there. This is a whole science, if you study you will know. And looking at the hands, meaning he was born to do great work. One meaning can be that. Now don't go home and start seeing in my hand, I think there is a chakra in my hand. You can study the science and find out the Samudrika Lakshana and understand. But more importantly, as we said, Vajra means the capacity to achieve what one wants to achieve. That is Purusha. The hands are symbol of what? Self-effort. Purusha. So it's always said that destiny is not in the lines of your hand, but in the grasp of your palm. That how well we grasp our present moment now, that determines our future. So Vajra is the capacity to achieve what one wants. Also Vajra is the power of selflessness. Because if you know the story of how Vajra was made, there was an asur called Vritrasura. And this Vritrasura became very, very mighty and he defeated the Devatas. So then when he defeated all the Devatas, they were very disturbed. And this Vritrasura got such boon that he became invincible. That no normal weapons etc. can kill him. So then they went to the Lord saying, how do we get saved? So the Lord said that he will get destroyed only with a weapon made from the spine of a very selfless person. From the spinal cord of a very selfless person, when a weapon is made, then only this person will be killed. So Indra Bhagavan said, no, how to find somebody, because to give the spine means you have to die. So then the Lord said, there is one great Mahatma who is there. His name is Darichi. Go to that Rishi and you will be blessed. So they go to Darichi Rishi and they present their case before Darichi Rishi saying that we need this help from you. Will you please help us? He said, body is anyway perishable. One day it will die. If it is coming for good use to you, you can as well take it. And he gave up his body. And through his spine, this Vajra was made and this Vritrasura was hit. Now again, this is the story. Such beautiful symbolisms are there in our Puranic stories. We think that they are some weird stories. But it requires a lot of understanding of Vedanta to understand Puranic literature. They are not some mystical stories, simply written. Vritti means a thought. And Vritrasura means the thought which has gathered to itself so much of power that it appears invincible. So who is this Vritrasura? It is our own ego. Is it not that all the good tendencies in us, they are not able to win against our own ego? They seem powerless. We know what is right, yet we are not able to flag. So the ego becomes invincible. And to control those thoughts becomes difficult. Dadichi is a person who has dedicated his life to austerity, to tapas, to complete selflessness. You are the first one to do organ donation, by the way. Organ donation. He gave his spine. And people come to us asking, is it okay to do organ donation, Anyway, the body is going to get burned. What is the problem? You give your skin, give your organ, whatever is there is utilizable for other people. Let it be given because the body is meant for service of others. Paropakaraya idam shariram. This body is meant to serve people while we are alive. And at our death, instead of simply burning it or burying it, why not dedicate and give it to somebody who will get life? Who will live a better quality of life? Give. Now what do Hindu scriptures say? And what funny ideas people have. If I donate my eyes, will I get eyes in the next life or not? Anyway it is getting born. At that time the question is not arising. So Dadichi Rishi gave. That is the power of selflessness. He gave his spine only. You take the spine and make that better. Meaning that's the power of selflessness that he has. So, Hatha Vajra, meaning who is always ready to be selfless and who is ready to serve. A flag is known for what? Flag is the glory of the person, right? So the glory of a person is selflessness. And Hatha Vajra and Dhwaja. So the Dhwaja is Hanumanji holds the flag of Bhagwan Ram. The flag is symbolic of the glory. The glory of Hanumanji is not his achievement. The glory of Hanumanji is the achievement of the Lord. So we always held high the flag of the Lord. Second, a flag also is the symbol of one's identity. So if you see in the earlier days, each warrior had their own flag. Hanumanji himself is on the flag of Arjuna. Different warriors have different flags. Somebody, I forget who had which symbol, but he said Bhishma had one symbol, Drona had some snake or a rope, somebody else had some gada. So different symbols are there. So from far when you see that flag, you know this is the warrior who is fighting there. So it is a symbol of identity also. Yeah, they look all alike. And you can't see from far. So now, here when he says Hatha Vajra or Dhwaja, he holds a flag. You can do an exercise if you like. We do this with the youth. Whenever we take Hanuman Chalisa, we tell them to make their own flag. Because the flag is a symbol of one's aspirations, one's identity. And looking at that, it inspires a person that this is what I want to achieve. Which is what today in management they keep telling you draw your goal and keep seeing that again and again. That will inspire you to be single-minded. So what do I want to achieve? Let me depict it pictorially. Put it on a flag. And let it be on my altar or on my my work table. And when I see that it inspires me, this is the goal that I want to achieve. So we always tell them to make that flag, and we give them this, these two types of flags which come. So on one side there will be the India's flag, and other will be their own flag. So this they keep it on their study table, which reminds them that whatever I want to achieve, I will do it with love for my country. So the flag is a symbol of that. So Hanumanji is one who holds the flag of the Lord high, because for him that is his whole identity comes from the Lord. His aspiration is to be with the Lord. So Hatha Vajra or Dhwaja Virat. Literally he may be carrying a gada. Literally the word gada means to speak. Gadya means prose. Padya means poetry. So Gada, one is that it's a weapon by which you attack or you defend. But symbolically the Gada always makes the powerful words. So the powerful words of Hanumanji are such that they destroy. Like the Gada is used to destroy the enemies, in the same way the words of Hanumanji are such that they destroy our false notion. That's the Guru Rupa of Hanumanji. Haath vajra aur dhwaja viraje, kandhe munj janevu saje. You must have seen in the world there are lots of people who are born into rich families, who are born with so much of wealth, who are born with certain types of property, certain types of affluence. Many times you will find that it happens that the father of that person or the grandfather of that person would have worked very, very hard. They would be from some humble background and built up this whole empire. And when the son or the grandson is born, they are already born with a silver spoon, with all this. Many times you will see that that generation doesn't know how to utilize it and misuses it, and that whole wealth, name, everything gets lost. Why does that happen? Because one important aspect is the aspect of self-control. That is not it. So they become indulgent, they become selfish, they get drunk in power, then it gets collapsed, destroyed. Same thing happens even in our country. That has happened. Such glorious cultural heritage that we have, and how we have destroyed it. Because there is not enough self-control. One becomes more and more indulgent. So this Janeru is the symbol of that self-control. Haath vajra aur dhwaja viraje, kandhe munj janevu saje. So this Janevu is also that the samskar is given to the person before going to study. Before studying the Veda, one should get qualified. To attain knowledge, one should attain certain single-pointedness of the mind, certain subtlety of the mind and purity of the heart. How do I cultivate all this? So that the knowledge gets absorbed. So there is a small ritual every day which I should do is to chant the Gayatri Mantra, which will remind me of the goal of my life and which will always tell me that may my intellect be sharp and steady. Because all I achieve in my life is through the decisions that I make. And the decisions are made by my buddhi. So if my buddhi is not sharp and subtle, if my heart is not pure, the decisions will not be right. So for a small child, the samskar is done. So the person is taken to a teacher, and before he starts studying in the Gurukul, the Janevu samskar is done, and the Gayatri Mantra is whispered into the ears of the child, and a sacred thread is invested, which the child wears from the left side shoulder to the right side. And every morning and evening, the child is supposed to hold the knot. There is a knot in the Janevu. Hold the knot and chant the Gayatri Mantra, standing in the river. And at the end of it, offer the argya. This the child has to do every day. This Gayatri Mantra is a very, very powerful mantra. It's a universal mantra. It is invoking the Lord as Ishvara, Lord Son as the Ishvara. So that's Sun is a symbol of life. And it is praying to the Lord that you are the most elevable one, Om Bhut Bhuvasvaha, the earth, the interspace and the higher worlds. That's how it is. That sun which illumines this whole world. Bharga Devasya, which is the illuminator of this whole world. Dhimahi, I meditate on the effulgence of that sun. Why do I meditate on the effulgence of that sun? Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya. So that all our intellects become illumined, sharp, subtle. Every day looking at that sun, the child meditates that may my intellect, may all our intellect become sharp and subtle. May I live up to my convictions without compromise. May my emotions be under my control and they never disturb me. So Bhu, Bhuva, Suva also means the body, mind and the intellect. May all the three come together. Sun is a symbol of knowledge, warmth of love, tireless service. We always say there is no Sunday for the sun. Tirelessly the sun keeps working. So these three qualities, the capacity to live up to convictions, the purity of the heart and the service aspect, may this come into my life, and every day one meditates on this. That makes a person also aware that why do I need these three? That knot which I am holding is called Brahma Granthi. That's the goal of my life. So when I live with knowledge, with purity, with service, the goal of life is to attain that complete oneness with the Lord on whom I am meditating. And the person stands in the river, symbolizing self-control. So that is how the person every day tunes one's mind and makes oneself ready, more and more prepared to understand the deeper knowledge of the Veda. So Hanumanji has a Janevu. Kande Moonj Janevu Saje. This Janevu is made from munja grass. Nowadays it is made from the thread. But this munja grass, earlier it is made from munja grass. And munja grass is such that it is very subtle. If you will see the grass, the munja is there in between in the grass. And you have to open that munja grass in a very careful way to get that munja out of it. And with that the sacred thread is made. So that grass is actually a symbol of discrimination. That subtle vivek we should be able to do. And that is the power of the buddhi. That what is real, what is unreal, what is permanent, what is temporary, what is atma, what is anatma. That vivek when one is able to do. That is the symbol of the Janevu. Through that munja grass this Janevu is made, and the Janevu has always three strands. These three strands stand for Satyam, Ahimsa and Brahmacharya. For truth, for moderation, for non-violence and for moderation. So holding on to these three, the child grows in life. That child will know how to manifest one's own potential. Will know how to use whatever is inherited also in a very worthy way, without misusing it, without destroying oneself. So Kandhe Moonj Janevu Saji. So Hanumanji is one who has the capacity to discriminate subtly, who lives in self-control, and who is aware of the goal of life. He actually became one with the goal of life also, he attained that. So this is the Sagun Sakar roop of Hanumanji. And a person should meditate on that Sagun Sakar roop. We chant the Hanuman Chalisa fully. And then we will meditate on the form of Hanuman. We will learn that Sagun Sakar roop, how to do that Sagun Sakar roop of Hanuman. Shri Guru Charan Saro Jaraja Niyamano Prasari Dharana Udapara Dimadasu Yodaya Kupalchari Buddhi Natanu Janike Sumiro Pavana Kumar
नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिते को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिते को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाए सजीवन लखन जियावे श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत समाई सहस बदन मधुर रस गावे हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद शारद सहित हरीसा रघुवीर कृपाल बहारे कवि कोविद कहि सके कहारे तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु विधियोधारी मधुर फल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका में मुखमाई जल्दी रांधि गए रच रचनाई दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे देते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहरी तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपे तीनों लोक हांकते कापे भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है कर सिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी नाथा राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरि हनुमत से सार सुख करई संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बल पीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरण मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसो सुरभूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय।
Close your eyes, sit rest. The head, the neck and the spine in a straight line. Relax your shoulders. Let there be a gentle smile on your face. comfortable posture. The hands in your lap, palms facing the sky. Let your breathing be slow, steady and deep. Inhale slowly, steadily and deeply. Exhale slowly, steadily and deeply. Deep breathing will relax the body and make the mind quiet. This very breathing that we are doing is a manifestation of the power of Hanumanji. He is a Pavan Putra. So even before we do the Sarvam Sakar Dhyan, through the breathing itself, Hanumanji is with us. Be aware of every inhalation and exhalation. In the space between the two eyebrows or in your heart, visualize a circle of white light. In the space between the two eyebrows or in your heart, visualize a circle of white light, extremely pure and brilliant. This is the focal point of concentration. In that white light, invoke the auspicious form of Hanumanji, sitting in Virasana with one knee which is bent, touching the floor, and the other is upright. Visualize this beautiful crown, golden color, with different gems studded in it. He has a huge forehead. Ram is written on his forehead between the two eyebrows. He has lotus-like eyes. He has a golden complexion. A very serene, peaceful face. There are curly hair. There are kundal in his ears, his earrings. There are some necklaces on his chest. Very broad chested. With one hand rests on his thigh. With his other hand he holds a gada, a mace, on his shoulders. He has toned up muscles of the abdomen. The waistband that he wears. And there's a dhoti which is red in color. Has a tail. This is the auspicious form of Hanumanji, who is ever ready to serve the Lord. He is a symbol of strength, of selflessness, of purity. There is a janu from his left shoulder to the right side. Very symbol of discrimination and self-control. Keeping this auspicious form in the mind, let us chant Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha 7 times. And feel that just like Hanumanji is devoted to Lord Ram, may there be devotion in our heart for the Lord. May we serve everyone around us for the manifestation of the Lord. And may we live a life of clarity and purpose. Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha.
Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha. Om Shri Ramadutaya Namaha. Om Shri Ramadutaya
Offer some flowers at the feet of Hanumanji. Prostrate in front of the Lord. Let the bhavana be that we have worshipped the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, through the form of Hanumanji. Feel that the grace and blessings of Hanumanji are with you. Touch the feet of Hanumanji. Palms, place them on the face, and close our eyes. So our next session will be on 50th, same time,